Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. General Hospital Chase and Willow reunion clues. Here's why these exes could get back together. General Hospital spoilers reveal that some Harrison Chase and Willow Tate reunion clues are starting to emerge. Let's talk about why these exes could get back together and what it could mean for their future. During the week of August 4th to 8th, Willow will make another effort to fix the mess she's made. It sounds like Willow could once again corner Michael Corinthos and beg him to change his mind about letting her see the kids. Of course, Michael may stand his ground and argue that Willow hasn't proven she's stable enough for that. It's easy to imagine Chase coming along and overhearing Michael as he rips into Willow. GH spoilers say Chase will launch a confrontation with Michael in the August 6th episode, so that could involve a Willow-related face-off. Chase may come to Willow's rescue and defend her against Michael since she's in so much pain. Since Chase knows how important being a mom is to Willow, he may feel the need to back her up on this. Chase may bring some personal issues to the table as well since he desperately wants a child and can't have one of his own since he's sterile. To make matters worse, Lynn Quartermain is on the verge of delaying their adoption plans. That could stir up some tough emotions for Chase ahead of this showdown with Michael. In other words, Chase will have sympathy for Willow and may think Michael's being cruel under the circumstances. We may see Chase become Willow's new defender, which could spell trouble since the writers have already foreshadowed problems in his marriage to Lynn. Willow could easily latch onto Chase as her next savior and maybe even manipulate him into loving her again. Chase has always had a special place in his heart for Willow, so it probably wouldn't be that difficult. Now that Willow's engagement to Drew Kane has crumbled and Chase's marriage may be falling apart too, a Chase and Willow reunion might be in the works. Would you like to see Willow and Chase become a couple again? Will they fall back in love for real, or will Chase just become a pawn in Willow's custody game? Regardless, General Hospital spoilers say some romantic shakeup news could be looming in PC, so stick with us for updates on any changes that might be on the horizon. General Hospital spoilers next 2 weeks. Drew seeks help with Willow, Britt goes rogue, Carly's Brennan proposal. General Hospital spoilers for the next 2 weeks, August 4th to August 15th, reveal that Drew Kane will seek help with Willow Tate while Britt Westbourne goes rogue. Carly Spencer will also have a proposal for Jack Brennan to consider, so there'll be a lot happening on the ABC soap. During the week of August 4th to 8th, Anna Devane will cross paths with Liesl Albrecht while Ava Jerome delivers a proposition to Alexis Davis, one that could cut Rick Lansing out of the blackmail scheme. As for Christina Corinthos Davis, she'll pay another $10,000 to Cody Bell in exchange for him upping the ante while seducing Ava. Over with Jason Morgan, he'll spill to Sonny Corinthos and presumably get his take on this whole Britt Westbourne situation. While Jen Sidwell tries to sabotage Tracy Quartermain's next move, Danny Morgan will give Rocco Falconeri some guidance. Whatever advice Danny offers could backfire since Dante and Lulu Spencer will have a reason to lash out. As for Michael Corinthos, he'll struggle with some suspicions and will divulge them to someone. Will Michael suspect Willow was Daisy Gilmore Corbin's stalker, or perhaps wrongly suspect Drew like Nina Reeves initially did? Could Michael's suspicions be about something else instead, like Drew's revenge on Curtis Ashford? Whatever the case, Willow seems poised to make another pitch to Michael and hope he'll allow her to see the children. Harrison Chase will end up clashing with Michael, so that conflict might come after Chase rushes to Willow's defense. Next, there'll be a thaw between Sonny and ADA Justine Turner, who has far more complicated feelings for Sonny than she'd like to admit. As for Emma Scorpio Drake, she'll confess to Trina Robinson that she feels more than just friendship for Giovanni Gio Palmieri. Drew will eventually corner Elizabeth Baldwin and seek her help, so we'll see if he wants to set up a Willow meeting. Perhaps Drew will ask how Willow's coping and drag Liz into his efforts to score another chance. Although Drew claimed he was willing to walk away, we all know he'll fixate on Willow and make another manipulative play for her sooner or later. Other GH spoilers say Carly will have a proposition for Brennan to consider. That may involve a way to ramp up the romance between Brennan and Carly, but Brennan will keep secrets regarding the news of Jocelyn Jack's whereabouts in the meantime. Jocelyn will pretend to be Vaughn's wife at the Five Poppies Resort, where Britt's about to go rogue. Britt will ignore the orders she's been given and do whatever she wants, so she'll inevitably rile up her mysterious male boss. The week of August 11th to 15th could bring a Britt sighting for Jocelyn, or at least a close call. Once Jocelyn settles in with Vaughn on the resort property, she may spy Britt and struggle to believe her eyes. As Vaughn and Jocelyn work to sell their romantic charade, the lines between what's real and what's not may begin to blur. Will Jocelyn and Vaughn wind up getting passionate behind closed doors? Vaughn and Jocelyn's mission could be at risk since Jason is growing increasingly curious about Britt's stint at the Five Poppies Resort. Jason could also come face to face with Jocelyn in Dalmatia if she's not careful. General Hospital spoilers say the next 2 weeks will bring some shockers and shakeups, so we'll bring you updates on all the excitement. General Hospital spoilers, Drew's next victim is Stella. Will Martin turn on him? General Hospital spoilers suggest that Drew Kane's next victim is Stella Henry. But considering Martin Gray was the one who accidentally threw her under Drew's radar, will the cutthroat congressman gain a new enemy in his lawyer? Drew has a new plan. General Hospital spoilers remind fans that Martin owes Stella a debt of gratitude for helping him with his medical bills and insurance. He mentioned this fact during his conversation with Drew at the Metro Court Pool on the Thursday, July 31st, episode. Fans could sense that Drew had a major lightbulb moment after hearing Martin's news, and he's ready to play hardball. After all, Drew had just learned that Curtis Ashford was the one who ruined his wedding to Willow Tate by telling her the truth about his affair with her mom, Nina Reeves. The two had a discussion about calling a truce on the July 31st show. However, while Curtis was committed to this, GH viewers could sense that Drew was not. Martin's dilemma. With that said, Drew will blackmail Stella, Curtis, or both. Stella's job is on the line, plus her reputation. As Stella stuck her neck out for Martin, will he do the same? Martin is an entertaining character and a fan favorite, but isn't exactly someone who pulls out all the stops to help a friend. Will he surprise everyone where Stella is concerned? The stickiness in all this is that Martin is hurting for money, and Drew is his #1 client right now. Plus, as Drew's attorney, Martin could be breaking client confidentiality if he spills any information he knows about the congressman. Which means he wouldn't only lose money by losing a client, but also any future revenue if his law license were suspended. Unless Martin can gather incriminating information outside of his working relationship with Drew and hold it over his head, Martin will be caught between a rock and a hard place. Will Martin save Stella from Drew's wrath? The tension crackled like static around Willow as she stood at the edge of the chapel aisle, her heart pounding louder than the church bells above. Every pew was packed, every floral arrangement pristine, and at the altar, Drew stood tall in his tuxedo, radiating the kind of confidence only a man oblivious to his sins could. The smile he gave her from the altar looked genuine. The calm in his eyes betrayed nothing. But she knew. Seconds before she stepped into the chapel, Willow had finally learned the full truth, every raw and ugly detail, about Drew and her mother, Nina. The two people who had spent months preaching trust and forgiveness to her had been sleeping together behind her back. And not just a fleeting moment of weakness, it was a months-long affair buried beneath fake smiles and well-practiced lies. She hadn't confronted him yet. She hadn't screamed or cried. She'd simply turned, left the bridal suite in her white silk gown, and entered the chapel with the whole weight of that secret pressing against her ribs like broken glass. Every step down the aisle felt surreal, as though her soul had separated from her body. The music swelled, the guests stood, and time slowed. She could see Monica watching with tentative hope, Olivia dabbing a happy tear, and Michael, her ex-husband, holding his daughter beside Wiley. Even he looked supportive, like this marriage was some symbol of healing. But to Willow, this was a coffin. And the person being buried was her. Somewhere around the 4th step, she stopped. Her eyes hadn't left Drew. He still looked relaxed, expectant. She didn't even realize she was trembling until the bouquet slipped slightly in her grasp. Her throat tightened, and when the officiant began to speak, she barely heard the words. The silence that followed the line, "Speak now or forever hold your peace," was thunderous. And that was when she spoke. "I can't marry him," Willow said softly at first. Then louder. "I won't marry him." Gasps filled the chapel. The music abruptly stopped. All eyes swiveled to her. Drew's brows knitted into confusion. "Willow?" he asked, his voice caught somewhere between disbelief and panic. "You slept with my mother," she said, her voice cracking. "You and Nina, while we were planning this wedding." The hush turned into murmurs. Nina, who had been sitting in the front row, turned ashen. I trusted you, Willow continued, eyes now glittering with unshed tears. I trusted both of you. And you've been lying to me, pretending that you cared, pretending you wanted a future with me while you were sneaking around with the one person who has caused more damage in my life than anyone. Drew tried to step forward, but she held out a hand to stop him. Don't. Willow, I can explain, he said, his voice hoarse. Don't insult me, she whispered. Not now. Then she turned and walked out, alone. The train of her gown trailing like the remnants of a fairy tale that had just gone up in flames. The aftermath was swift. Drew didn't chase her. Nina sat frozen in her seat, while Carly stared daggers through her. Michael looked stunned, and even Wiley sensed something wasn't right. The entire town buzzed with the fallout by nightfall. Willow didn't go home, not to the Quartermains, not to anyone. She couldn't bear to return to the mansion where so many memories now felt tainted. She knew Carly wouldn't exactly roll out the welcome mat either, given the complicated web of emotions they'd all been trapped in. And she certainly wasn't going to spend a night under the same roof as Nina Reeves. For a few hours, she wandered. Port Charles suddenly felt foreign. Every sidewalk reminded her of someone who'd let her down. Every intersection carried a memory. At one point, she found herself near Isaiah Gannon's old cabin. It was empty, dark, and half-abandoned. The thought of staying there crossed her mind, but the place felt haunted, not by ghosts, but by the silence she wasn't ready to face. By morning, she was at Elizabeth Baldwin's doorstep. Elizabeth didn't hesitate. She opened her arms, pulled Willow inside, and asked nothing beyond, "Are you safe?" Willow nodded, too drained to speak. And just like that, Elizabeth's home became her sanctuary. Elizabeth's boys made space without question. Violet asked if Willow was a princess, and when Willow managed to smile and said not anymore, the little girl wrapped her arms around her. That night, the house was quiet, safe. Willow slept for the first time in days without the sound of lies whispering in her ear. In the days that followed, Port Charles reeled from the fallout. Drew tried to do damage control, appearing on local press interviews as if he could spin his way out of the mess. He claimed honesty, transparency, and accountability. But no one missed the hurt in Willow's absence, or the betrayal that had been so public. Nina, meanwhile, found herself ostracized once again. Carly unleashed fury on her in full Metro Court view. Michael closed ranks around Willow and refused to let Nina anywhere near their children. Even Sonny, who had long grown weary of Nina's manipulations, kept his distance. The biggest surprise came from Alexis Davis, who quietly reached out to her daughter. Not to fix anything, just to listen. Willow didn't know if she could trust another mother figure, but something about Alexis's quiet presence helped. It reminded her that not all mothers destroy the things they love. One evening, after dinner, Willow and Elizabeth sat on the back porch. The stars were bright, and the night breeze was cool. I always thought I was too quiet to make waves, Willow said. Too gentle. Too easy to break. But in that chapel, I didn't feel weak. Elizabeth nodded. You weren't. You were the strongest person in that room. I just don't know where I go from here. You build something new, Elizabeth said. Something honest. Something that's yours. And that's exactly what Willow began to do. She didn't rush. She didn't forgive. She didn't forget. But she started therapy. She joined a grief group not just for the loss of loved ones, but for the loss of self. She helped out more at the hospital, mentoring new nurses, finding joy in the lives she could help. She didn't shut her heart down, but she guarded it. Slowly, day by day, she began to reclaim the parts of her that others had chipped away. Port Charles continued to swirl with drama. But Willow stood apart from it now, wiser, stronger, and no longer anyone's pawn. She wasn't the woman in white walking toward an illusion. She was the one who had turned around, found her voice, and finally learned how to choose herself. Chris McKenna officially on contract with the ABC soap. General Hospital spoilers suggest there's some good news for fans of Chris McKenna, who plays Jack Brennan on the ABC soap. According to Soap Central, while the actor was on recurring status, he's officially been bumped up to a contract with a daytime drama. Chris McKenna steps up to the plate. McKenna made the announcement during his GH Fan Club Weekend 2025, along with fellow cast member Bradford Anderson, who plays Damien Spinelli. The actor was happy to share the news that after the show comes back from its summer hiatus and starts filming again on Monday, August 4th, he'll be on contract with the soap. He was met with roaring applause from his fans. The actor was recast in the role earlier this year, but was on recurring status, taking the character over from OG Jack Brennan, Charles Measure. Now it seems like McKenna will become a more permanent fixture on the daytime drama in the weeks and months ahead. Fans were shocked when they learned of the recast back in late January 2025, as Measure was a fan favorite. With that said, McKenna has done a solid job in the role, truly making the character his own. Lopton Brennan is involved in a very interesting storyline right now, as he's dating Carly Spencer, but convinced her daughter, Jocelyn Jax, to join the WSB. When Carly finds out, she's sure to be irate with her boyfriend, as she's a massive mama bear when it comes to her kids and grandchildren. McKenna commented on the arc, stating that whenever the show hints at the truth coming out in scenes, he, Wright, and McCoy often say, "Oh, it's coming." All three can't wait for the proverbial poop to hit the fan. However, this little secret could destroy his romance with Carly and tear apart her mother-daughter bond with Joss. On top of all that drama, Brennan is leading the WSB pack when it comes to investigating PCU professor Henry Hank Dalton, so it'll be interesting to see what that shoddiness is all about. Are you a fan of Chris McKenna? 3 ways Lucky Spencer could return to General Hospital. General Hospital fans were disappointed that Lucky Spencer left Port Charles in June and headed back to Africa, leaving his great love Elizabeth behind, again. His portrayer, Jonathan Jackson, shared with fans that his commute from his Tennessee home to the GH set in California proved too difficult for him to continue. But if circumstances change for him in the future, or if Lucky is recast, what potential storylines could the writers dream up for him? Here are 3 possibilities. Send Lucky on a mission with Jason and Spinelli. We rarely, if ever, saw Lucky and Spinelli in a scene together on General Hospital. It would be fun to see the writers put them in a storyline and add Jason to the mix. Jason and Spinelli, who have always had a great bromance, hardly ever get a chance to interact anymore. So why not round up all 3 men and send them on a mission for justice? Maybe Lucky could strike up a friendship with Spinelli as well, and that would give Spinelli 2 good male friendships on the show. Lucky used to be a cop, so he could put those skills to good use in this scenario. Since Jason and Lucky both have a romantic history with Elizabeth, maybe it could be a story where Liz is in danger, and they team up to race against time and save her. The stakes would be high since both men share a child with her. Spinelli could come along for the ride because maybe the plot involves computer hacking, which he's a master at. Put Lucky in a storyline with Gio. We rarely, if ever, saw Lucky and Spinelli in a scene together on General Hospital. It would be fun to see the writers put them in a storyline and add Jason to the mix. Jason and Spinelli, who have always had a great bromance, hardly ever get a chance to interact anymore. So why not round up all 3 men and send them on a mission for justice? Maybe Lucky could strike up a friendship with Spinelli as well, and that would give Spinelli 2 good male friendships on the show. Lucky used to be a cop, so he could put those skills to good use in this scenario. Since Jason and Lucky both have a romantic history with Elizabeth, maybe it could be a story where Liz is in danger, and they team up to race against time and save her. The stakes would be high since both men share a child with her. Spinelli could come along for the ride because maybe the plot involves computer hacking, which he's a master at. Put Lucky in a storyline with Gio. Years ago, Liz yearned to become a professional artist. Eventually, though, she abandoned that dream and became a nurse instead. Since Lucky understands what it's like to have creative aspirations himself, what if he somehow encourages Liz to pick up her paintbrush again and paint on her days off from work? Who knows where it could lead? Maybe she could snag a one-woman exhibit at Ava's art gallery. She would be so grateful that Lucky, the love of her life, inspired her to revisit her creative passions. It could be a beautiful story whose moral would be to never give up on your dreams. As the son of Luke and Laura, Lucky is a legacy character who belongs back on the General Hospital canvas at some point. We just have to keep our fingers crossed in the hope that the writers make it happen somehow, someday. Willow puts Drew on blast at the altar. Britt is part of Dalton's research. At the church, to Nina's shock. Willow walked down the aisle to marry Drew. As the ceremony began, tears began to well in Willow's eyes, but she kept a smile on her face. Ava was not happy to see Rick staring at Elizabeth. As Drew said his vows, it occurred to Nina that Willow might be going through with the marriage because she felt it was the only path back to her kids. When it was Willow's turn to say her vows, she dropped Drew's hands and asked if he had slept with her mother. Everyone watched in shock as Willow demanded an answer from Drew. Alexis finally took Scout out of the chapel. Drew admitted to having an encounter with Nina more than once but said he never developed feelings for her. When Willow questioned him, he deflected responsibility by saying he slept with Nina when he was still trying to honor Willow's marriage to Michael and her wishes to stay away from her. Willow did not fall for any of his excuses and rationalizations and told him he did worse than compromise her marriage to Michael. He destroyed it. I was such an idiot. Every time I listened to you, I gave Michael ammunition against me, she proclaimed. It then dawned on her that Michael was telling the truth about Drew tricking Wiley at the hospital. Drew said it was a strategy to get her kids back, pure and simple, which angered her even more. Your lie hurt my son. You made it possible for Michael to take my children from me. I trusted you and now I have nothing, she said. Finally, she told him not to touch her ever again and stormed off. Nina stopped him from following her. They argued in front of everyone and aired all of their dirty secrets. Drew remained smug and unapologetic, telling Nina, you gotta quit this whole victim act, Nina. It doesn't look really good on you. You may have forgotten, you hired an escort to drug me. Everybody hear that? She said no one would believe that, and she didn't force him to take body shots off of an escort. She went on to declare that he was done, his credibility was torched, and his respect was out the window. She said the only thing that pleased her about the day was knowing Willow would never, ever be able to forgive him. Later, Martin told Lucy, well, that was worth the price of admission. Kai offered Drew a ride home, but Drew stopped Martin and said he had a job for him. Nina and Elizabeth were trying to find Willow, who, unbeknownst to them, had left for Carly's house. At the bar in the reception area, a grinning Liesel ordered a triple schnapps, saying there was much to celebrate. After Jason's visit with Carly, he showed up to ask Liesel about Britt. Jason visited Carly at her house. She was sitting with Wiley, who was sad because his mommy was marrying Uncle Drew today. He asked Jason why his mom would do that. Carly did her best to give Wiley a simple explanation and comfort him. Carly and Jason continued to talk about the custody situation after Wiley went upstairs. They questioned if there were any similarities with keeping Michael from AJ, but thought Michael was doing the best he could to protect his kids right now. Carly expressed how grateful she still was to have Jason back after thinking he was dead. She admitted to clinging to Drew after thinking Jason was dead, and admitted Drew may have been right when he accused her of using him as a substitute for Jason. Jason left to find Liesel at the church. Later, Willow, with mascara running down her face, showed up, knocking frantically at the door. When a surprised Carly answered, Willow said she needed to see her children. Christina and Michael arrived at Alexis' house. He questioned why she had him run interference between Molly and Cody. She said she hired Cody to seduce Ava and admitted to trying to kill her, but almost killed Rick and Elizabeth instead. She went on to explain the state she was in and what led her to cut the brake lines of what turned out to be Rick's car. Being completely honest, she told Michael about Rick and Ava knowing the truth and that they have been extorting Alexis. Michael expressed his wish to have been around to help and stop her before it got so far, but she felt she needed to be responsible for her actions. She then went on to explain her plan to have Cody seduce Ava and to keep Molly from developing feelings for him. When she rationalized that Molly and Cody wouldn't be a good match, Michael reminded her that her motives were mostly selfish. He conceded to thinking the seduction plan wasn't terrible and promised to help her get out of the big hole she had dug for herself. Even though she was most grateful for his support, she asked not to tell Alexis he knew because she would freak. Alexis walked in with Scout, who let them know the wedding was weird, and Willow and Drew didn't end up getting married. Alexis asked Christina to take Scout to the kitchen to make her something to eat, and then filled Michael in on certain truths coming out at the wedding. Jocelyn met with Brennan at the WSB office. He asked for her version of events at the airport when she put the tracking device in the courier's backpack. When Carly talked about Jocelyn with Vaughn, it made him concerned. So, when it came to pretending to date Vaughn, Brennan questioned if she was getting confused with the feelings she was faking. She assured him she knew what was real and what was fake, and there was nothing going on between her and Vaughn. He cautioned her to be sure she knew Vaughn was playing a part and nothing more. When he asked if it was too much to ask to have her pretend to date Vaughn, but she said she could handle it. Brennan got a call to inform him that the courier was on the move and at the Five Poppies resort on the Adriatic Sea. The informant didn't know if Greta handed the backpack off because he lost sight of her when she entered a staff area. As Brennan was looking at the tracker on his phone, the signal was lost. It was possible the signal loss was temporary, but Brennan was worried someone had found it and knew they were under surveillance. In a lab in Dubrovnik, Croatia, Britt opened the door to Greta. She entered and gave Britt the backpack. At the Metro Court pool, Christina's words played in Molly's head while she refused to put more sunscreen on Cody's back, saying he just wanted her hands all over him and she wasn't going to fall for his advances. The more frazzled she acted, the more confused Cody got. They bickered, and Cody got up to leave. Telling her to enjoy her literature, he picked up her War and Peace book to discover she was hiding a romance novel, Rawhide and Satin. Rawhide and Satin, another Russian classic, he teased and went on to read an excerpt aloud. She said it was pure fantasy. He asked if she was a secret romantic, but she surprised him by saying it actually wasn't so secret. She had been obsessed with all things romantic since she was a kid and even wrote 2 books, Love in Maine and Maine Squeeze. As a cover, she said she thought it could be time for a 3rd book and was reading Rawhide and Satin for research. Flustered, she rushed to leave, but not before telling him he needed to get the mole on his back checked. Jason and Britt think of each other on hospital, then this happened. We're one step closer to a bra-son reunion. Jason hears Britt's voice. Despite Carly trying to help him not get his hopes up, Jason is certain of what he saw, and he's determined to get some answers. Now that he learned that the paperwork for Britt's body was never officially filed, he's enlisting the help of his favorite partner in crime. When Jason arrived at Anna's, she agreed it was possible that Britt faked her death so the world wouldn't watch as she succumbed to her Huntington's disease. With Anna on his side, once Jason called the Five Poppies resort, he got a shock on the other end of the line. He heard a familiar voice yelling at the manager being hung up on, and Jason immediately recognized it to be Britt, who was seen having a flashback of a moment she shared with Jason back in Port Charles. Because Jason is the only one to see or hear Britt, it's easy for everyone to assume he's just imagining it. But Jason knows there's truth to it, and he'll go to no stops to get to the bottom of it. Emma and Gio team up meanwhile. Now that Emma revealed to Gio that she stole Vaughn's key in order to sneak into Dalton's lab, he's not going to let his best friend enter a dangerous situation. Instead, he offered to take the key and sneak in for her. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.